Welcome to this week's episode of Success and Women. I'm Linda.
And I'm Andrea.
And today we're going to talk about self-confidence. So, I was reading some stuff lately because some people seem to think that you're born with self-confidence. And if you have a lot of self-confidence, that you'll be more successful in work. In the things that I've read, I found that that's not really true. And I also know that how can you be born with self-confidence? And Andrea, you being a parent, how was that like? What was that like raising your children to become, I'll say, more independent, self-confident young ladies?
Well, I guess a lot of the ways that we did it was, first of all, you can put your children in sports. Mine were in dance, so they were in dance their entire lives. And that built a lot of self-confidence. And also just little things like when we would go out, say to a trip to McDonald's. And from when my children were little, I would make them go to the counter, order for themselves, and pay for themselves. I was there, right there with them. But it gives them that sense of confidence that they can do this and independence, you know.
So it's really interesting because if kids aren't born with it, you have to give them opportunities so that they aren't shy to talk to people, that they can, and actually you even gave them a little bit of lessons in handling money and getting change back and
Exactly.
and having the confidence to order a meal that they would be happy with. Because if they're ordering their own food, they can't complain to you.
No.
Because you ordered your food. So I remember many years ago, and I had a very secure job with the federal government. And I decided that working 9 to 5 and working for somebody else wasn't my forte. It was great pay, and of course I had all the benefits. And I decided, I needed something more and
fulfilling, maybe.
Something more fulfilling. And at the time, it's interesting because a lot of times when we're going through and making decisions in our life, we're not really thinking, oh, do I have the self-confidence to do this or not? But one of the things that I did do is believe in myself and said, you know what? I need a change. And I decided that I would go into sales. And not just sales, but commission sales. So we don't get paid unless we actually sell something. And of course, when I told my mother, she was quite upset because she said, Linda, you have a secure job. You have a pension plan. Everybody talks about the pension plan.
Yeah, old school thinking too.
And that's a good way to put it because it is old school thinking. And many years ago, people worked in the same job absolutely forever, put in their 25, 30, 35 years, got a pension, retired, and that was life.
Yeah, paid their mortgage, and it was just about putting food on the table and paying the mortgage. And even if they weren't happy, it was a secure job, and that meant everything.
I love the fact that you mentioned that because I hear that all the time. I hate my job, but I'm going to get a pension. And I'm like, see, that was the thing. I was 8.5 years into my career with the federal government and 8.5 years into accumulating a pension, but I was miserable. I was absolutely miserable. And a lot of reasons for that, but I wasn't getting the self-satisfaction that I needed from a job, and I couldn't make this my life. Because ladies, we get one kick of the can in the sense of this time that we go around. And recently, Andrea lost a very close friend because we don't know. They weren't that old. And so if we only get one life, and every so often when we're hit with the reality that we have a lifespan, we don't necessarily know when it's going to end.
That's right.
Why not make the most of it? So anyway, I gave up. I gave my notice at work, and I went into sales. And my mother was like on pins and needles. And after I had been in for 1 year, my mother gave me a card, and she just basically congratulated me and encouraged me to keep up the good work, because along the way we were talking, and I told her very quickly that going into sales for me was so much more satisfying, because I knew if I put in the effort, I was getting rewarded. Unlike my previous job where I could work as hard as possible and I was never even acknowledged for doing what I was doing. And so I got into sales because I said to myself, I said, what's the worst that can happen? And every time I have to make a decision, I always use that. I say, what's the worst that can happen? And once I weigh out the pros and cons in my head or on paper, I decide, okay, I'm either going to do it or not do it. Well, the worst that was going to happen is I wouldn't succeed. I would end up having to go back and look for another job.
Right.
But I felt confident, no matter what, that I had enough skills that I could get a job and still support myself.
Right.
So I didn't worry the fact that I was going to commission. And it made all the difference, because all these years later, I've had friends that have stayed the course, got their pensions, but missed out on life. Mm-hmm. And I was able to balance the work that I was doing, even though I was working harder and longer hours. I had so much more satisfaction from that it didn't feel like I worked. It felt like I retired, because now everything I did for me. And Andrea, I know that your husband also took a leap of faith, and I want you to tell that story, because he also had a secure job. Yes. And ended up going to be self-employed.
Yes, he was working for a very large company in Toronto, an accountant for them. And same thing, he'd come home, 9 to 5, suit and tie. Every day he'd come home and he'd be like, oh, miserable, and oh, what a day, and take off first thing, tie and shirt coming off, and then he could relax. And then, this went on for a couple of years, and then he was approached by a friend to start a building business, custom homes. And his father had been in that business for a long time, and my husband had been on the job site helping this. So he felt a little bit comfortable, but at first he was like, oh, I don't know. And his father was like, no, you've got a job, you've got to, and for them, an accountant was something really nice. But I said to him, let's do it. I said, you're not happy where you're working. Who knows, what's going to come at the end of it. So give it a shot. Why not? So what he did was he said, okay. And what he did was he kept his regular job for about 6 months, just to make sure it was going to work out. And every weekend, all weekend long, he was on the job site. And after 6 months, we knew that it was going to be successful. So he quit his job, and he's been so happy ever since. When you work for yourself, it's such a feeling of satisfaction, and you don't feel that pressure of, having to get to work and perform, and like you say, not getting appreciated for it. You could work as hard as you want. It doesn't make a difference, but when you work for yourself, it totally does.
And ladies, we're not encouraging you to quit your job, because there's a lot of people that have careers in things that they enjoy very, very much. Even your own sister, she is a personal care worker, and she's so good at her job. She doesn't need to go looking for something else, because she gets a lot of satisfaction from what she does.
Yes, she loves her job, yes.
And she's confident that she could get a job anywhere, but she loves the line of work that she's in. Why would she want to give that up?
Exactly.
To even start her own business? So there is the other side of it. But what we're trying to say is that, because you're not born with it, you can fail. And actually, the more you fail, the better it is. And I don't know if we've mentioned this before, but the lady who started Spanx.
Oh, yes.
Her name is Sarah. I can't remember her last name right now, but you can Google the lady who started Spanx and you'll find her. Amazing lady, because she knew that there was something that women needed, because again, sometimes it only takes some little thought that, you can't find in a store. Anyway, she invented the Spanx, and it's made all the difference for a lot of ladies to keep them, I'll say, put together a lot better. And she's, I think, I know she's a billionaire, but she did that from basically nothing. She didn't have any money. But when she was growing up, she said when they would sit around the dinner table, one of the first things that the dad would ask her and her brother was, what did you fail at today?
Yes, I remember her saying that.
Right, because we listened to an interview with her, and it was like, what did you fail at? And I mean, how many parents go and ask their kids? Usually it's like, how was your day? What happened at school? Whatever. But when you start teaching your children to learn to fail, it's so that you can prepare them to have more confidence. Because once you failed a number of times, you realize that, okay, again, what's the worst?
So bad.
It's not so bad.
And she said her father was actually disappointed if they didn't fail at something.
They had to fail at something.
Because you learn and you grow from failure.
Right. And that would mean if she came home and she didn't fail at something, she didn't try.
Yeah.
Because,
something different.
Something different. And, it was said that the light bulb only became a light bulb after 10,000 failures. But each time it was, okay, I found another way, it didn't work.
Right.
So it gives you confidence that you're moving forward. And it's really interesting when you hear about a lot of successful people and how many times they failed. And do you think that she had confidence initially? No, even selling her idea.
Right.
She came across
a lot of tries and a lot of
failures.
Different companies that she
got rejected.
Yeah.
And at the point that she finally was granted an opportunity to meet with somebody that was the marketing or the head of buying the products for their store, a very high-end store, she was given that opportunity, and of course that lady wanted a sample and said, here, send your proposal. And she absolutely refused to do that. What she did was she got on a plane and she met with the person. And when she realized that even her proposal was not going anywhere, she dragged that lady, not literally, she dragged that lady into the ladies' room and got her to try on the Spanx, so she
with her white pants.
With her white pants to see the difference.
And she was amazed. The woman was absolutely blown away.
And the rest is history.
Yeah.
But it didn't stop there. And in order to be successful, you have to continue. And she had the confidence and the work ethic to go and constantly teach people in the stores how to sell, how to make them understand what the product would do, so that when ladies came in with this challenge, that the salespeople knew what to do. But not only that, she actually was a little sneaky. She had the confidence to not get booted out, but she said, if I do, I do. And she would go in there and put her products in close to the caches and on racks that she bought herself, putting it in just to make sure that people noticed it. Because you can't stop with just the confidence.
Yeah.
You have to keep on trying on anything that you do. And so we want you to know that you're successful, but you got to believe it, and you have to have the confidence. And ladies, if you don't have the confidence, go in and try to do something and fail at it. More and more and more times, the more you fail, the more confidence you're going to have. And realize it's not the end of the world.
That's right.
And you may discover a new way to do something, and that includes even learning to cook.
Oh, yeah. How many times do you try something?
Yeah. And speaking of cooking, one of the things that we're going to be teaching you very soon is Andrea being married to an Italian and having a big Italian family and living with, having the mother-in-law live with them for many, many years. She was taught the art of making tomato sauce, and we're going to be showing you that as one of the upcoming episodes. So you want to tune in for that. So until next episode, this is Women Helping Women. Success in Women is all about you. Linda, signing off.
And Andrea, I hope you women have a great week.
And remember to
subscribe,
share.
and like.
Until next time, we'll see you.